Once again, good evening, viewers, and you're welcome to the program Stock and Shares. We're in the period where the market gets flooded with audited results for quite a number of listed companies, given that a number of Nigerian companies also have December as their year end. But while we wait for the market to be flooded, hopefully tomorrow inclusive, being the last working day in the month of March, one thing that is also certain is that the market must end tomorrow with a growth of over 1.35% for the month of March to be able to close positive. Otherwise, March will also be ending in red. This is particularly so given that the market basically had to struggle, though doing a positive at midday, but ended with a 0.75% at the end of the market. But that is not all that we'll be sharing with you in the course of the program this evening, because we can also confirm to you that we'll be sharing with you quite a number of results that are in. But not only will we be limiting all that we'll be sharing with you to the results, we also can confirm that on the program this evening, we'll be bringing again another two sets of banks. If you joined us last week, you remember that we had two banks on parade, talking about corporate results. Again, another two sets of banks will also be on parade, and basically to give you additional information as to what is happening in the banking subsector. Also on the program this evening, we'll be doing part 2 of the hidden quarter. Again, if you did follow us 3 weeks ago, we had done something on hidden quarter. Very many times, if you use the first 3 months, the first 3 quarters of the year to literally judge how the company will end, you are not certain to be 100% correct. But that is one of the things I'll be sharing with you on the program this evening. Also on the program, we have our regulars that will also include Company of the Week. But we can also assure you that the Company of the Week on the program this evening is also a huge surprise. But for our first-time viewers, one of the things that we also will encourage you to do as a way of keeping the program on fire and alive is for you to constantly use the two platforms that we have, either to raise questions or to raise issues, because this is what we have done in the last 15 years, and the harvest of that helps to shape the structure and the posture of the program called Stock and Shares. Because don't also forget, the reason that we're on air is basically to serve you. And the only way we can serve you is not only to have the information provided, is also have them well researched, well presented, that you also get entertained. And it's on that note that we ask that you permit us to take the first break. And when we do return after the break, we'll roll out the drums. Please stay tuned.
There is a reason Africa is called the new frontier. What was once potential is now an opportunity ready to be seized. Once revered for our resources, today's wealth lies in our people. People who build the cities that shape the future. People who know an idea in one place means business in another. A generation for whom technology means there are no borders, no boundaries. We are the new lions in a brave new world, kings of the urban jungle. And there's a bank that puts the world in our pocket and the future in our hands. UBA, Africa's global bank.
You don't wait for life. You go to meet life. It's not about how many chances you get. It's what you do with what you've got. cup after cup. Morning after morning. Start strong, finish strong. It all starts with a Nescafe.
You're welcome back. And if you just join us, the program is Stock and Shares. The pressure that the markets continue to take on didn't get better in the week under review, because one of the things that you'll find is the volume of 1.53 billion traded in the week happens to be the lowest in 12 weeks. And not only that, the week also ended like 7 earlier weeks, with the last trading days being Friday ending negative. And interestingly, other than 2006, which was a year in which we had election, that we had census, hence no statistics. One of the things that you will also find is that in terms of consistency, volume and value, 2007, 2008, 2010, 2015, and 2018, as well as 2000. Those 5 years really were the years in which both the volume and value were over 2 billion in terms of units and 20 billion in terms of value. But if you then compare those with the years in which the index also closed positive, what you will find is that only 3 years did you find the index closing positive in the last 10 years. And that is in the last 15 years, really. Because looking at the chart, the 3 years happens to be 2006, 2007, 2010, and 2015. So we also had 10 years of being positive and 5 years of being negative in the last 15 years. But much more of note is that had 2021 closed negative, we ending week March 26, what we'll have had will have been 2017 to 2021. 5 straight years of the market also closing negative. But for the next chart that I will be sharing with you, which is a much more detailed position as to how well the market has done, what you, however, will find in 2021 is that the market basically was in good mood. All the indicators were literally up, except for the growth sector that was flat with no change in terms of performance. However, like I mentioned, you will find that in the all-share index at 2.17% happens to be the first in 8 weeks that the market, that indicator is closing positive. And for NSE 30, it's also the first time in 8 weeks that is also closing positive. And down the line, you'll find that the banking subsector is picking up its second positive change back to back in the week under review. While for Lotus, this is the first positive change, positive finish in 8 weeks. While for pension, this is the second week that is also finishing positive. For premium, the same pattern. While for the corporate governance index, this is the second time, interestingly, that is also finishing positive. So that is how difficult that the market had to cope with. But taking it further, let's quickly share with you that the NSE 30, ironically, had picked up 3 straight years, 2017 to 2020 negative, just like the all-share index that also did 2017 to 2020 as negative. However, the industrial subsector have done 3 years of being negative, 2018 to 2020. Hitherto, we've also had the insurance subsector do 2010 to 2015, 6 strict years of being positive. The banking subsector, 2010 to 2014, 5 years of being positive. And the oil and gas, doing 2012 to 2015, 4 years of being positive. However, this is on the heel of having done 2010 and 2011, 2 years negative, and 2016, thereafter to 2018, 3 years of being negative. So it's been an up and down situation as far as the market is concerned. But before we go to the next chart, let's quickly share with you that some results are in. And in talking about the results being in, we can also confirm to you that Fitson Healthcare and May and Baker are basically hoping that shareholders will approve a 25 kobo dividend that they will be putting on the table. While BOA, whose results also came in today, will be asking shareholders to approve a 2 naira 6.7 kobo. I know that will sound clumsy, but that is what they're bringing on the table. For Cadbury, is hoping that shareholders will approve a dividend of 18 kobo, a huge drop from the 49 kobo that shareholders approved for last year. Julius Berger, 40 kobo. Prestige, 2.5 kobo. BOC Gases, 50 kobo. However, Livestock Feed, Suno, and Sovereign Trust, whose results are also in, would not be asking for any approval in terms of dividend. And for Guinea Insurance, shareholders will have to wait till July before they get the annual, before they get the results for 2020 in. But flipping to the next chart, one of the things that you also will find is that, yes, the market, again, still under pressure, though the improvement was recorded in 2021 compared to 2020, with 96 companies not making any change, not recording any change in the share price compared to 99 in 2020. Those two figures themselves, or those 2 years themselves, are higher than, are worse, that's the right word to use, are worse than what was done in 2018, when 89 companies basically remained unchanged in terms of share prices. All other years have companies in excess of 100 companies are not making any movement. Ironically, this is also coming on the heel of what happened in 2011. In 2011, we have $75 million being put on the table, and that was the bid for Union Bank by African Capital Alliance. While in 2015, part of Ashaka's shares that were converted to Lafarge also helped to improve the number of shares in issue for Lafarge. While the same Lafarge in 2018, 3 years after, was in the market with a right issue at 48 naira. While Prestige had its shares reconstructed and followed with a bonus. This itself is similar to what was done by Morrison Industry. That is talking about Lafarge, because Morrison Industry in 2018 had a rights issue, and that rights issue was at 60 kobo. But one of the things I will also point out in the course of the program, probably right away, is that Morrison Industry is a company that you must also watch in the direction of the share price. But for 2019, Lafarge, that had a rights issue at 48 naira in 2018, was back in 2019 to have a rights issue at 12 naira. And at this point, we'll probably take a break. But when we come back after the break, one of the things that we'll do is again share with you the companies that help to push the index southwards. Please stay tuned.
We cover mobility, education, family, travel, home, business, lifestyle. Custodian, exceeding expectations.
Sterling Bank, we believe that the world should revolve around you. That's why we've created a banking system that does just that. A system where you're constantly met at your point of need, and where we treat you like you're the only one that matters. Sterling Bank, the one customer bank.
What kind of nonsense be this? Now no one chop. Say as customer boku for this place. Don't be the same business we dey do. Huh? Understand me?
Oga, no be Dangote 3i cement then they use.
That's what they tell me. They tell me say one cement better than another one. No be it our cement we use for this block. Eh? Ah! Who set this block? Who set this block?
You see why I tell you now, say Dangote 3i cement. Now, Baba, he get extra strength, better yield, and extra life when they take well. Ah! No take your money by problem. Oh. If you want better, buy Dangote 3x cement today.
Dangote 3X Cement, built with peace of mind.
You're welcome back. And if you just joined us, the program is Stock and Shares. Let's start on the note as to how the NASD, which is a much smaller market, ended for the week ended 26th of March 2021. First, we can confirm to you that all the four companies basically rallied positive, just like we saw on the Nigerian Stock Exchange. We are at the situation where the index went up by 2.14%. However, it didn't stop the yield today standing at a negative of 2.12%. CSCS went up by 16 kobo. That also meant that CSCS first closed at 14 naira 71 kobo and then added 1.1% to its market capitalization. Niger Delta had 1 naira 15 kobo addition, closing at 298 naira 15 kobo. And that fetched it a 0.38% appreciation in terms of market capitalization. For WAMCO, its market capitalization went up by 4.3%, having closed at 130 naira 90 kobo. This is as a result of the 5 naira 40 kobo that I gained in the week under review. VFD Group went up by 46.03% in terms of market capitalization. This is as a result of the 53 naira 21 kobo gain that I posted in the week, that also saw it move its share price to a close of 168 naira 79 kobo. This interestingly was coming in from a 115 naira 58 kobo the previous week. In terms of volume, Niger Delta dominated, followed by CSCS, followed by VFD Group, followed by WAMCO. WAMCO, in terms of value, also did close as the fourth best performing behind CSCS. That also had VFD Group finishing second and Niger Delta as the best performing in the week under review. On the Nigerian Stock Exchange, Stanbic IBTC had a huge rally, and that rally saw Stanbic going up by 12 naira in the week under review. That chart will come any moment from now. But this itself meant that Stanbic did add 30% to its market capitalization. But this itself is not unconnected with the fact that Stanbic is offering the shareholders a dividend of 3 naira 60 kobo, and is also offering a 1-for-6 bonus. So that basically sets Stanbic loose. But despite the result, we can also confirm to you that on the last trading day of the week, Stanbic did drop by 90 kobo. But at the end of trading today, he added 25 kobo to his share price to close at 51 naira 75 kobo. A week that also had Total come in with his dividend for 2020 that is 6 naira 8 kobo. For Dangote Cement, it did go up by 5 naira. Interestingly, Dangote at the end of trading today dropped by 9 naira, and that basically helped to take the market to the negative that we talked about at the end of trading today. But the 9 naira drop also meant that Dangote closed at 215 naira, and the yield to date is standing at a negative of 12%. Ironically, Dangote that also went up by 7 naira 80 kobo on the last trading day of the previous week, and yet missed to have a place in the top 10 both on the up and the downside. Had Guinness finishing third with a 4 naira 70 kobo gain, and that also meant Guinness added 18.6% to its market capitalization. Guinness did go up by 2 naira 70 kobo on the last trading day of the week. The previous week, he was also up by 1 naira 80 kobo when he finished 8th. And at the end of trading today, Guinness added 45 kobo to his share price to hit a 31 naira 60 kobo close. Julius Berger, that is also coming in with a dividend. Julius Berger, ironically, went up by 3 naira 55 kobo, just like BOA. But for Julius Berger, that meant almost a 21% addition to his share price. At the end of trading today, however, Julius Berger dropped 55 kobo to close at 20 naira, but the yield to date is standing at positive of 12.4%. Like we told you, Julius Berger dividend will be 40 kobo. For BOA, he was basically recovering from the 4 naira 80 kobo drop that I posted the previous week when he finished at the worst performing stock. MTN added 3 naira to his share price in the week, again reversing the 1 naira drop that I posted the previous week. But it must also be put on record that MTN dropped 3 naira on the last trading day of the week. So that had that not happened, MTN would have been up by 6 naira. Nigerian breweries went up by 1 naira 50 kobo, partly recovering from the 2 naira 65 kobo drop that I posted the previous week, while UACN went up by 1 naira 20 kobo, having gained 70 kobo on the last trading day of the week. The previous week, it was also up by 35 kobo when he finished 11th. But at the end of trading today, the company added another 30 kobo to its share price to close at 9 naira. CAPL was up by 1 naira, notwithstanding that it also dropped 1 naira on the last trading day of the week, while GSK was up by 85 kobo to pick up 13.4% improvement in its market capitalization, though behind the 16% that UAC picked up in the week. But for GSK, it was up by 25 kobo on the last trading day of the week, but this itself is an improvement over the 15 kobo that I posted the previous week. It must also be noted that 48 companies appreciated in share price in the week, and that happens to be the best performance in 9 weeks, but the fourth best in 2021. 9 of the companies basically gained over 10%, like we mentioned earlier. But what is also of note, talking about performance, is the fact that on the downside, we have 18 companies dropping in share price. And the 18 companies, the number 18 happens to be the lowest in 12 weeks. That is for the whole of 2021. And as well as in 14 weeks. Okay, so taking it from December 2020, that itself is an improvement, you probably would say. But MRS basically led the pack of 18, going down by 1 naira 30 kobo, and that also meant that it was shedding almost 11% in terms of market capitalization. Lafarge, that is, will be asking shareholders to approve a 1 naira dividend for it. For its performance in 2020, also went down by 1 naira 10 kobo, shedding almost 5% in terms of market capitalization. The drop of 1 naira 10 kobo came notwithstanding the fact that the company added 40 kobo on the last trading day of the week to its share price. But it also meant that it was reversing a 60 kobo gain that it posted the previous week. Flour Mills of Nigeria went down by 90 kobo, 30 worse than Dangote Sugar. For Dangote, he had also gone down by 95 kobo the previous week when he finished 5th. Dangote Sugar will be asking shareholders to approve a 1 naira 50 kobo later in the year. Zenith Bank dropped by 50 kobo to reverse the 1 naira 15 kobo gain that I posted the previous week. But at the end of trading today, I basically had recovered the 50 kobo that I lost in the week because with a 55 kobo up, closing at 22 naira 60 kobo, which also means that it's past the ex-div price. UBA went down by 35 kobo, again shedding almost 5%, just like Lafarge. But UBA dropped 5 kobo on the last trading day of the week, and UBA was also marked ex-div, which means that anybody who is buying UBA now, just like Zenith Bank, will not be entitled to dividends. But UBA at the end of trading today added 30 kobo to its share price to close at 7 naira 20 kobo. While Livestock Feed, whose result is also in without a dividend, did shed 15.5% of market capitalization, following a 32 kobo drop. Part of this was also the 6 kobo drop on the last trading day of the week. The previous week, the company was up by 7 kobo. Champion Breweries was down by 32 kobo. Eternal Oil was down by 13 kobo, again reversing the 96 kobo that I gained the previous week. While Fitsin Healthcare, like we told you, with a 25 kobo dividend, also went down in the week by 10 kobo. Let's remind our viewers that Cordville results is in, and Cordville will be asking shareholders to approve a 3 kobo dividend, while FCMB will be asking its shareholders to approve a 15 kobo dividend. So, flipping to the activity chart, looking at the activity chart in terms of volume and value traded, one of the things that you also will find, which is the next chart that we'll be sharing with you, is the fact that Union Bank came in strong in the week, doing almost a 400 million transaction, though far from the 1.05 billion that was done by Unity Bank the previous week, but that size was sufficient for it to pick up the first slot and to also lead 7 other banks in the top 12. In a week that also had 2 insurance companies in the top 12, and that is talking about Veritas and Custodian. And then in terms of the big ticket, that is talking about value. What you then will find is that Union Bank position dropped from first in terms of volume to the next chart that we'll be sharing with you, 4th position in terms of value. And talking about value, you then find that GT came in strong, doing 5.5. GT came with a 5.5 billion naira in terms of value, and that also meant that GT is maintaining for the 2nd consecutive week, having to be in charge of that number 1 slot, because the previous week it did do a 6.3 billion. In all, 31 companies did over 20 million transaction, but in the top 12, 6 of them happen to be in the banking subsector. 2 in the top 12 also have to be 2 cement and 2 brewing firms also picking out slots in the week under review. And it's also on that note that we take another break, and when we return after the break, we'll be sharing with you the 2nd part of the hidden quarter. Please stay tuned.
My name is Wale Kadri. I'm the Executive Director of Technical ICO Insurance PLC. ICO has been in existence for 55 years and we have track record. In this market, we are known by a lot of multinationals. In terms of claim settlement, in the industry, they know us for that. We settle claims within 24 hours, within 48 hours, because we have the financial muscle and we have the technical skill, capability to do it. In terms of branch network, we have presence in so many states. We also give them best of services. So that's what we stand for as ICO. We are always there when there's a claim from our clients. We've been supporting various businesses for a long time and we'll continue to do that.
For every uncertainty that life presents on a daily basis, there is only one cover you can be sure of: the Sovereign Trust Insurance PLC cover. We have all it takes to give you the assurance that life can be perfect, even in the midst of uncertainty. Come under our cover today and put life's uncertainty behind you. Sovereign Trust Insurance PLC. We've got you covered.
Welcome back. And if you just join us, the program is Stock and Shares. Let's look at what the position of the market is up to March 2020, and that will come any moment from now. But what that also presents is the fact that looking at 2011 to 2021, the month of March, the market had gone down by almost 37.37% between 2011 and 2021, a 10-year period. Like we told you in the course of the program, should the market failed to take up an additional 1.35% at the end of trading tomorrow, what that then means is that March 2021 will also be closing negative. But all of these are important. But what is also much more important is that how the individual companies' performances affect the direction of the market. Hence, you find a situation where we, week in, week out, share the performances in terms of bottom line and top line under our corporate results component. But let's then look at, in anticipation of what will happen to close the month of March, let's look at what the hidden quarter is also indicating, and that is the quarter October to December 2020. Like we said, this is basically part 2, and that chart will come any moment from now. What you will find, and the reason that this is important is also help to put in context very many times that you get questions around, oh, this company was doing well up to 9 months, and then the full year result is not in tandem with what the first 9 months of the year is looking like. But looking at Total, for instance, Total at end of December, that is October to December, came up with a profit after tax of 1.56 billion. That itself meant that the earnings was standing at almost 461 kobo. But what is hidden in that result, or in this component of the result, is the fact that 76% of Total's performance came in the last 3 months of the year. So the first 9 months basically came up with only 24% in terms of performance. So had anybody judged Total strictly on the first 9 months, the point that you will be missing is that Total had the best performance in the last quarter of the year. Let me also say that the first, for Total, this is the best quarter, and it's also the second quarter that the company also made a profit, because in the first 2 quarters, it did post losses. For Dangote Cement, 67.4 billion, that was what was done in the last 90 days of 2020, and that itself translates to 395.4 kobo in terms of earnings, but that itself was just 24.4% of the profit for the whole year. So you probably will say, oh, if you have a 4 quarter, what you should have is 100 divided by 4, which is 25. So this itself is within context. However, the 4th quarter that we talked about happens to be the 3rd best. This itself is behind what the 3rd quarter itself came up with in 2020. GT Bank, the 2 naira 1 kobo earnings that was posted in the 4th quarter was as a result of the 59.2 billion profit that it made in that period. But in terms of the contribution to the year's performance, that was 29.4, again above 25, and that itself happens to be the best performance, the best quarter in the year. Stanbic IBTC, 17.05 in terms of earning 1 naira 53 kobo, and that itself also meant that the percentage of profit that came in the 4th quarter was less than 21%, and ironically that happens to be the lowest in terms of quarterly performance. For ETI, and ironically ETI did go down by 25 kobo at end of trading today to close at 5 naira 5 kobo, and the yield today stands at a negative of 16. ETI 23.5 billion profit in the last quarter of 2020 translated in terms of earnings to 1 naira 27 or almost 1 naira 28 kobo, and this accounted for almost 70% of the profit that the company achieved in 2020. The irony is that the 4th quarter performance happened to be the best after what was done in the January to March segment of the year. UBA, again, the 36.6 billion happens to be the best performance in the 4 quarters, because this itself translated to a 1 naira 7 kobo in terms of earnings. But the one that is also of note is that in terms of contribution to profit, the 4th quarter accounted for 32.2% in all, which again means that in the 4th quarter, it went beyond the 25%, which will have been the ideal situation. Lafarge did 24.2%, having achieved a profit after tax of 9 billion in the last quarter of 2020, and an earnings of almost 56 kobo. But the 4th quarter happens to be the second best quarter, with the 2nd quarter itself, that is April to June, have been the best performing quarter. Excuse me. FCMB, the last 3 months of 2020 saw the company rake in this 5.7 billion in terms of profit after tax, and that translated to almost a 29 kobo in terms of earnings. But the 5.7 itself was a little over 29% of the total profit that the company achieved in the year, and that itself turned out to be the best. Just like Union Bank's performance in the last quarter was also the best, accounting for almost 29% of the profit for the year, and that 29% came in as a result of the 6.1 billion profit after tax, and the earnings standing at almost 21 kobo. International breweries are still struggling with a loss position. However, even in the loss, you can quantify the level of thickness of the red. In the quarter under review, and that is talking about the October to December quarter, the company made a loss of 1.5 billion. And that also meant that in terms of earnings, a negative earnings of 5.5 kobo. And the contribution to the size of loss that was posted by the company happens to be only 12% of the total loss that the company came up in the year. So hence, last quarter turned out again to be the best performing quarter as far as the company is concerned. So let's close this segment on the note of the fact that at the end of trading today, again, we still had Presco go up by 3 naira, and Presco's share price then closed at 72 naira, and the yield to date, interestingly, is 1.5%. And it's on that note that we then take another break. And when we do return after the break, we'll be looking at the two companies. Don't forget we told you about they being banks on parade in terms of corporate results. Please stay tuned.
You don't wait for life. You go to meet life. It's not about how many chances you get. It's what you do with what you've got. Cup after cup. Morning after morning. Start strong. Finish strong. It all starts with a Nescafe.
As you adjust to the new realities for operating your business and engaging with your customers, let us help you transform your business into a digital powerhouse capable of adapting and taking advantage of today's opportunities. With our best-in-class array of digital solutions, you can conduct your business, receive payments from your customers, and perform transactions quickly, safely, and conveniently, because we've got you covered with the right people, technology, and service offerings. Contact us today and let us take your business to its zenith. Zenith Bank, in your best interest.
For 3 decades, people world over have improved their health and well-being by its rich ingredients. A unique blend of essential amino acids, multivitamins, and minerals specially formulated to combat stress and fatigue. The golden promise of Astamine is being enjoyed by more and more people who have found the deepest secret of living life at its peak. Astamine. Get healthier.
You're welcome back. And if you just joined us, the program is Stock and Shares. Looking at the two banks on parade, first happens to be Union Bank of Nigeria PLC. And interestingly, Union Bank is paying a second dividend in 12 years. But for today's position, the top line basically moved up from closed at 166.55 billion in terms of earnings. That chart will come any moment from now, as against a 160.3 in 2020. And the profit also dropped from almost 20 billion in 2019 to a little below 19 billion by 2020. And that basically explains why the earnings also dropped from 68.25 kobo to 64.1 kobo. Like I told you, for the second straight years, the company is paying a dividend, and the waiting period is basically flat, as against a little over 8.5 years in 2019 position. The position in 2020 is below 8.5 years. So for a company whose share price had hit a high of 7 naira 10 kobo in the last 52 weeks, and a low of 4 naira 65 kobo, the share price has also shown some level of strength in the last 5 years. Like we mentioned, closing at 5:30 at the end of the week, this itself is coming in from a close of 5.35 in 2020, because in 2019 it did close at 6 naira as against a 5 naira 60 kobo close in 2018. In 2017 it did close at 7 naira 80 kobo. But let's also mention that it did had a downward position before that, because in 2013, having closed at 9 naira 63 kobo, it dropped to 8 naira 50 kobo in 2014, 6 naira 90 kobo in 2015, before hitting a 5 naira 50 kobo in 2016. And like I mentioned earlier, by 2017, it was at 780. A similar trend also did happen between 2010 and 2012. To start with, in 2009, it did close at 6 naira, dropping to 420 in 2010, before climbing to 10 naira 60 kobo in 2011, and then it dropped to 7 naira 35 kobo in 2012. Ironically, in the period under review, we can also confirm to you that the company in 2010 did achieve a low of 3 naira 14 kobo, as against a low of 4 naira 92 kobo in 2009. Because in 2008, the share price that closed at 15 naira 20 kobo had a high of 45 naira 9 kobo. In 2007, it closed at 43 naira 6 kobo, but it had a high of 50 naira 55 kobo. While in 2006, it closed at 22 naira 91 kobo. The high in that year was 32 naira 50 kobo. In 2005, it closed at 25 naira 48 kobo. The high was 32 naira 46 kobo. While in 2004, it closed at 21 naira, having hit a high of 40 naira 5 kobo. So, like I mentioned, in the last 5 years, there has been some level of stability in the share price of Union Bank. But for FCMB Group, which is the next company on parade, the top line moved from 181.25 billion to 199.4. But in terms of profit, the profit moved from 17.3 million to 19.6, while the earnings was standing at 99 kobo in 2020, as against almost 88 kobo in 2019. But in terms of profit, in terms of dividend rather, the dividend of 14 kobo in 2019 moved to 15 kobo for 2020 account. But in terms of waiting period, the PE of 2.1 years in 2019 is now standing at 3 years. For a company that's also done a high of 3 naira 99 kobo in the last 52 weeks, as against a 1 naira 41 kobo low. But for the company, again, 2 naira 98 kobo closed in 26th of March 2021, itself coming in from a 3 naira 33 kobo share price in 2020. In 2019, the share price was 1 naira 85 kobo as against 1 naira 89 kobo in 2018 and 1 naira 48 kobo in 2017. In 2016, it was 1 naira 10 kobo. Interestingly, that has to be the lowest between 2016 and 2021. But in 2015, the share price closed at 1 naira 69 kobo, which itself was a drop from 2 naira 49 kobo that was closed in 2014 and 3 naira 36 kobo closed in 2013. So in 2012, it was 3 naira 75 kobo. So between 2012 and 2016, the company has 6 straight years of a decline in terms of share price. Because if you do remember, in 2011, the share price did close at 4 naira 18 kobo. The high in that year happens to be 8 naira 30 kobo. In 2010, it closed at 7 naira 50 kobo. The high in that year was 9 naira 72 kobo. And in 2009, it closed at 7 naira 16 kobo. The high was 8 naira 99 kobo, though the low happens to be 3 naira 38 kobo in that year. While in 2008, it closed at 6 naira. The high was 21 naira 60 kobo. So the company recorded a growth in 2007, because in 2007, it did close at 18 naira 88 kobo, coming in from a 4 naira 5 kobo in 2006. Though in that year as well, the high was 5 naira 48 kobo. While in 2005, it closed at 5 naira 11 kobo, having hit a high of 5 naira 18 kobo. And in 2004, the year in which it was listed, the closing price in that year, 31st of December, happens to be 5 naira 18 kobo. So that is basically the story of the two companies on parade talking about corporate results. It's also on that note that we take another break, and when we come back after the break, we'll be sharing with you the company of the week. Please stay tuned.
There is a reason Africa is called the new frontier. What was once potential is now an opportunity ready to be seized. Once revered for our resources, today's wealth lies in our people. People who build the cities that shape the future. People who know an idea in one place means business in another. A generation for whom technology means there are no borders, no boundaries. We are the new lions in a brave new world, kings of the urban jungle. And there's a bank that puts the world in our pocket and the future in our hands. UBA, Africa's global bank.
You're welcome back. And if you just join us, the program is Stock and Shares. Talking about the company of the week, one of the surprise is first the number. We're talking about company and not companies. But in this instance, they all have fallen under the same category. And we'll quickly want to call your attention to the fact that all the companies on parade are categorized so because of a major flaw that is beginning to emanate as to how we present our audited report. Very many times, companies will notify the market that they have an audited report, and they take 2, 3, 4, 5 days before they are talking about the outcome of the board meeting. Any outcome that excludes what they are paying as dividend is one that is also helping to make sure that people are looking for information that they ordinarily shouldn't be looking for. And that itself creating a new set of insiders. Don't forget that audit committees will know the results, and so that itself could be a form of leak. Some companies, some secretaries will also know the results. That will also be a form of leak. So let's encourage all quoted companies to release the benefit as far as the market is concerned once they are also released the notice. So for inability to release, hence the companies have qualified as the company of the week. And it's also on that note that we want to especially thank you for being part of this program this week. God willing, we'll be back next week. I'll be looking at how well the month of March 2021 will have finished. Good night. See you next week.
You don't wait for life. You go to meet life. It's not about how many chances you get. It's what you do with what you've got. Cup after cup. Morning after morning. Start strong. Finish strong. It all starts with a Nest.
Honey!
Daddy, please, can I go out with you and Mommy tonight?
Sure thing, sweetie. Get your shoes and we go.
Promise?
You have my word.
Daddy!
You know I wouldn't leave without you, my princess.
There's nothing more important than a promise. We are Fidelity. We keep our word.